My friends, the sound you hear coming from Berlin today is not that of the once powerful engines of German industry. What echoes through the corridors of the Chancellery is the dry sound of knees hitting the marble floor. Friedrich Merz, the German Chancellor, has just discovered in the worst possible way that you don't mess with those who pay your security bills. Donald Trump did not send a diplomatic memo. He sent a strategic order, the immediate withdrawal of 5,000 American soldiers from German soil. In less than 24 hours, Berlin's globalist arrogance evaporated. The Chancellor, who in recent days tried to pose as the leader of the free world, is now sending desperate conciliatory messages to the White House. What's at stake here is not just a troop movement, it's the collapse of the biggest geological lie. The illusion that Europe can finance welfare socialism, radical climate agendas, and globalist utopias, while the United States guarantees the continent's survival against Iran and Russia. The American lifeboat has just been taken away, and Germany has found out it doesn't know how to swim. Now subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and like the video because it takes a lot of work to make it, my friends. Good. Last week, Friedrich Merz made the fatal mistake of any career politician. He believed his own propaganda. Trying to score points against Trump to signal to his internal left-wing European audience and the globalist media, Merz claimed that Washington was being humiliated by the Iranian leadership. He wanted to virtue signal, wanted to look like the adult in the room, but he forgot that the current occupant of the White House is not a bureaucrat. A Washington bureaucrat who accepts insults in exchange for diplomatic dinners. What Merz calls humiliation is actually Trump's refusal to keep being a nightclub bouncer who gets beaten up to protect the client who insults him. The withdrawal of the troops is the dismantling of what I call strategic parasitism. For decades, Germany used money that should have gone to defense to fund electric cars that nobody wants to buy, climate policies that destroy their own energy system, and a social consensus agenda that was never broken. Trump simply said, if you think we're being humiliated, take care of your own security, and Germany, in absolute panic, backed down. The metaphor here is clear. Germany is the parasite that bit the hand of its host and now realizes that the host is leaving. Now let's talk about what Brazilian journalists who call anyone who defends the family far right don't have the courage to tell you. Europe has spent the last 2 decades funding a socialist utopia based on 3 suicidal pillars: disarmament, globalism, and uncontrolled immigration. And all of this under the pretext of historical reparation for the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Berlin opened its doors to millions of refugees. But the truth is much dirtier and more obscure. Did the European elite want a population they could manipulate? Did they want cheap labor, useful idiots to serve a leftist political agenda? What they actually imported was a mass of Islamist radicals that is now swallowing Western civilization from the ground up. Among millions of good people, they brought in millions of other fundamentalists connected to Hamas and the Iranian regime. Today, churches in Berlin are turning into mosques, and the cry of death to America and death to Israel echoes through the same streets where Merz tries to govern. Merz's fear is not just geopolitical, it's a visceral fear of the street. He knows that if he openly supports Trump in the war on terror, he'll lose the government to the radical militants he himself helped bring in and whom they no longer control. Germany is infiltrated to the core by leftist militancy and imported fundamentalism. And here's the second layer you need to understand so you won't be fooled anymore. You know what? In Europe, there is no established right wing. Those whom Brazilian newspapers portray as right-wing radicals and far-right would be considered center-left in any serious country. Friedrich Merz and his coalition are armchair globalists, plagued by chronic military incapacity and an almost chemical dependence on Brussels' approval. Trump saw through that mask. He saw dubious behavior regarding terrorism. The childish tantrum when he talked about buying Greenland to ensure Arctic security. And Berlin's desperate attempt to keep profiting from Iran while the United States imposed sanctions. And it's a contradiction. You don't see Europe worried about Chinese expansionism in the South China Sea, but they're enraged when Trump wants to buy Greenland. Trump realized that Germany wants the benefit of American protection plus the burden of being the loyal friend of dictators. When Trump put his foot down, and he showed that American muscle can be withdrawn at any moment, German arrogance evaporated in seconds. My grandmother used to say, "Those who are bothered should leave, and those who are bothered are leaving." Merz's statement that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons is not a position of strength, it's a confession of submission. It's the acknowledgement that without Washington's support, Germany is just an open-air museum waiting to be looted by powers that don't respect climate agendas. The escalation of tension here is clear, my friends. Germany is trapped in an ideological trap. If they follow the socialist agenda and blind activism, they lose the protection of the United States and are left at the mercy of Putin and the Ayatollahs. If they try to rearm now, it will take them 10 years to get close to what they've lost. The withdrawal of the 5,000 American soldiers is just the beginning. Trump is signaling that the era of free riders, the global security freeloaders, is over. Germany backed down because it realized that woke ideology doesn't stop ballistic missiles and that left-wing activism doesn't defend borders. Last week's episode is proof that the real world, the world of power, strategy, and sovereignty, no longer accepts those who try to fix the world with other people's blood and money. The virtue signaling is coming to an end, my friends. The bill for 20 years of military neglect in favor of social engineering has arrived. And what about Merz? There's no way to pay for it alone. My friends, what happened in Berlin is a warning to all nations, including Brazil. When a country trades its defense capability for ideological agendas and hands over its sovereignty to globalist organizations, it becomes a hostage. Germany found out that on the real chessboard, those without firepower have no voice. The question I leave for you is this: is Brazil following the path of real sovereignty or the path of the European glass giant? Comment sovereignty below if you understand that true independence isn't achieved with social media agendas, but with courage and real power. The German case is proof that when things get tough, you either have strength or you have to back down. And if you want to understand the mechanisms behind these decisions and have access to the reports that the globalist media hides, the QR code and the links to our exclusive platform are appearing here on the screen now. Link in the description, in the first pinned comment. Join more than 3,000 subscribers who fund this independent intelligence. And for those who want real entertainment without kuduruki, without whining, our series and movies channel is ready for you and your family. Enjoy without worry. Link in the description and also here in the cards. Now shield your mind. I'm Shimon Oliveira and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.